Hello everybody. So today I'm going to bring you a PowerPoint presentation on Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So here we go. A theory in psychology proposed by Abraham Maslow in his 1943 paper, A Theory of Human Motivation. Maslow studied what he called exemplary people such as Albert Einstein, Jane Addams, Eleanor Roosevelt, and Frederick Douglass, rather than mentally ill or neurotic parents. This next part actually probably wouldn't be allowed today, but we'll say it as it was back then. He wrote that the study of crippled, stunted, immature, and unhealthy specimens can only yield a crippled psychology and a crippled philosophy. Quite harsh words and probably politically incorrect today, but that's what he said back during those years. Maslow studied the healthiest 1% of the college student population. So here we go. It's built like a pyramid, as hierarchy of needs, and we can see from the bottom here, we look at basic needs. Actually, currently, whilst film this, the coronavirus is on, so probably more people will be concentrating on the basic needs, these needs down here, of getting themselves food and security, keeping the body safe and whatever, rather than looking at perhaps self-actualization at this present time during this crisis we're experiencing. Also, we will find when people have taken care of themselves and they have enough food, water, and they can keep their bodies secure in that they can keep themselves safe and self-isolated, they'll then probably turn their attention to other people, to helping other people. So we can see that this hierarchy does actually work in practice. Right, Abraham Maslow. A musician must make music, an artist must paint, a poet must write, if he is to be ultimately at peace with himself. Okay, so basically what we're saying here is that we all have innately this potential to self-actualize. Perhaps we have this innate purpose, this thing that we're all meant to do. For instance, with me, it might be teach psychology, or it might be play music. And for you, it could be something entirely different. But what he's saying here, that we all should ultimately align with that gives us the greatest satisfaction from life. Okay, so Maslow's hierarchy of needs is a theory by Abraham Maslow, which states that people are motivated by 5 basic categories of needs. Let me just put my phone on silent, that's better. These categories are physiological, safety, love, esteem, and self-actualization. Okay, as you can probably hear in the background, we have a dog barking, so let me just pause this a moment. So back to it. According to Maslow, these are the key takeaways, or the key points, if you like, of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. According to Maslow, we have 5 categories of needs: physiological, safety, love, esteem, and self-actualization. In this theory, higher needs in the hierarchy begin to emerge when people feel they have sufficiently satisfied the previous needs. And like we're seeing at the moment, this is cyclic. It doesn't run in a straight line. At the moment, people, maybe like yourselves, that were wanting to further yourselves and reach your optimal potential and find out who you are, may be reverting now to your basic needs of bringing money in, bringing food in during this coronavirus crisis. Although later research does not fully support all of Maslow's theory, his research has impacted other psychologists and contributed to the field of positive psychology. Okay, so let us move on. What is Maslow's hierarchy of needs? In order to better understand what motivates human beings, Maslow proposed that human needs can be organized into a hierarchy. This hierarchy ranges from more concrete needs such as food or basic needs such as food and water to abstract concepts such as self-fulfillment. According to Maslow, when a lower need is met, the next need on the hierarchy becomes the focus of attention. These are the 5 categories of needs according to Maslow. So first of all, the physiological level. I've got coffee today, by the way. The physiological, this is the base of the pyramid, the basic needs, okay? These refer to basic physical needs like drinking when thirsty or eating when hungry. According to Maslow, some of these needs involve our efforts to meet the body's need for homeostasis. And basically homeostasis is basically to balance all the systems in the body that keep us healthy. So to maintain healthiness is maintaining consistent levels in different bodily systems. For example, maintaining a body temperature of 98.6. Maslow considered physiological needs to be the most essential of our needs. If someone is lacking in more than one need, they're likely to try to meet these physiological needs first. For example, if someone is extremely hungry, it's hard to focus on anything else besides food. Another example of physiological needs would be need for adequate sleep. When we're counselling, this is very important because if somebody comes to you who's got a problem, perhaps financially, and can't feed themselves properly, and perhaps can't keep a roof over their head, it's pointless trying to get them to self-actualize. They're not at that place in life where that's important to them. And I think with Maslow's hierarchy of needs, it gives you basic levels to where you need to know you should be working with the client. I hope that makes sense. Let's push on. So the next after the physiological, it's safety needs. Once people's physiological requirements are met, the next need that arises is a safe environment. Our safety needs are apparent even early in childhood. As children have a need for safe and predictable environments and typically react with fear or anxiety when these are not met. As we've seen with John Bowlby's attachment theory, a child needs a safe base to which to return when it's exploring. The little baby who can crawl round will often go back and grab hold of the mother's leg, and it's happy to crawl round and to explore so long as it has that safety. So these needs are innate within us, and as we get older we still have a need for safety, obviously. And in Freud's term, this need for safety will probably come from our instinctual side of the psyche, the id. Maslow pointed out that in adults living in developed nations, safety needs are more apparent in emergency situations. Now we're seeing that right at this present moment in time. It says here, for example, war and disasters. Well, they're declaring a war today on the coronavirus, and we can see now that the whole of humanity really is beginning to take measures to protect ourselves as a species. So this is a great example of the safety level of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. At the moment we've got isolation, we've got safe distances, and so on. So there's lots of different ways of protecting ourselves that are coming into effect right at this present moment in time. But this need can also explain why we tend to prefer the familiar or why we do things like purchase insurance and contribute to a savings account. Again, we all save for the future. We all save for a rainy day. We purchase insurance in case we have a flood and we can't afford to put our house back to the way it was before we were flooded, and so on. So we have this basic safety need that can come in the guise of the id, and to protect us from maybe predators, people out there who will attack us, maybe to protect us from viruses and such. And also we have this other aspect that will look at the more practical things like insurance and keeping us safe, making sure that we can maintain our home in the event that we maybe have a burglary or we have a flood, and so on. And also contributing to a savings account. Quite often when our basic needs are met, when we can afford to, we all start putting a little bit away for a rainy day or for retirement, as I'm doing at the moment. And so we move on, and I have another drink of my coffee. According to Maslow, this level is called love and belonging. According to Maslow, the next need in the hierarchy involves feeling loved and accepted. Really now, if we think about object relations, this is fitting in with their stance that the primary objective of the human being is to forge good relationships with other human beings. Remember that from object relations? So again, according to Maslow, the next need in the hierarchy involves feeling loved and accepted. Let me just have a drink of my coffee again. Thank you, and it's finished now. So once we've taken care of our physiological needs and our body is relatively balanced, we've got no health worries, and we've got a roof over our heads and we can feed ourselves, then obviously relationships then really come into effect. In fact, relationships come into effect obviously far earlier than all that. But what we're saying here, that they become very important at that point. When our attention is being overwhelmed by our basic needs and we need to get a roof over our head, we need to get a job, perhaps love and belonging is not as important at that particular time, but it is important when they've been satisfied. And people who don't forge them good relationships, not just romantic relationships, but friendships, and people basically to walk hand in hand with for the duration of life, friends that you can chat to, have that cathartic release, talk to, and whatever. It's very important. So this need includes both romantic relationships as well as ties to friends and family members. It also includes our need to feel that we belong to a social group, which we're doing right at the moment. Importantly, this need encompasses both feeling loved and feeling love towards others. That's most important. We need to be loved and we need to be able to feel love towards others. This is really a very important need of the human being. And when we're counselling people, this is how it fits in. If people are having difficulty to allow people to love them, go psychodynamic. What's happened in their past? They'll have defences in place. Why are they pushing people away? Because they want this love, but they don't let it in because the defence mechanisms are in place. And they find it very difficult to feel love towards others. This may be because they've been very hurt, perhaps in childhood, and they don't want to feel a hurt again. So again, when we're looking at this level of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we can see where we should be working with the client. Since Maslow's time, researchers have continued to explore how love and belonging needs impact. Let me start again. Since Maslow's time, researchers have continued to explore how love and belonging needs impact well-being. For example, having social connections is related to better physical health, and conversely, feeling isolated, for example, having unmet belonging needs, has negative consequences for health and well-being. Now, that's very interesting. So now we're seeing that the way we relate to other people actually affects our physical health. So there we go. The penultimate level of Maslow's hierarchy is esteem needs. Okay. Our esteem needs involve the desire to feel good about ourselves. According to Maslow, esteem needs include two components. The first involves feeling self-confidence and feeling good about oneself. The second component involves feeling valued by others, that is, feeling that our achievements and contributions have been recognized by other people. Again, this is extremely important to most people. So I think practically and experiential wise, from my own life experience, I can see the value in Maslow's theory. When people's esteem needs are met, they feel confident and see their contributions and achievements as valuable and important. However, when their esteem needs are not met, they may experience what psychologist Alfred Adler called feelings of inferiority. Okay, feelings of inferiority again can come from a psychodynamic element of a person's past, but equally when they get older and they're achieving and maybe they're not getting recognition, it can affect them quite badly. Again, this is wonderful for identifying what area in a person's life we need to work with as counsellors. So it may be maybe this person's feelings of inferiority haven't stemmed from childhood, but they stem from lack of recognition in what they're doing in their life now. And we all need that. That builds our self-esteem. And the final stage in the the final stage in the hierarchy is self-actualization. Self-actualization refers to feeling fulfilled or feeling that we are living up to our potential. One unique feature of self-actualization is that it looks different for everyone. For one person, self-actualization might involve helping others. For another person, it might involve achievements in an artistic or creative field. Essentially, self-actualization means feeling that we are doing what we believe we are meant to do. For me, this is of mammoth importance. Today, it's the backbone of my life. Doing this type of thing, doing my music, it all adds to the enjoyment of life. And that's what Maslow was saying before when he said an artist should paint and whatever. Whatever it is you think you're meant to do, it's very important you do it. Please bear in mind that for yourself. It's very, very important. Purpose in life is extremely important. Essentially, self-actualization means feeling that we are doing what we believe we are meant to do. According to Maslow, achieving self-actualization is relatively rare, and his examples of famous self-actualized individuals include Abraham Lincoln, Albert Einstein, and Mother Teresa. It doesn't mean you've got to be at that level of recognition to be self-fulfilled. I've been self-fulfilled for many, many, many years now, and that's because I'm very self-aware and I know what gives me great enjoyment in life, and please find out what that is. And for people who are younger, who are perhaps fulfilling their basic needs, maybe doing a job that you can't stand doing, really think about what you would like to do, because there's nothing worse than a life unfulfilled, and eventually it'll catch up on you. And we can all earn money doing what we love to do. Believe me, we just got to have that get up and go. We've just got to have that motivation, and we can all do it. It might be right at this present moment, you know, your purpose is finding work. It's bringing in an income because a lot of people's incomes have been stamped out through this virus. But ultimately, find out what you love to do and please start to do it. You will be able to make a living from it if you're good at it. Although Maslow presented his needs in a hierarchy, he also acknowledged that meeting each need is not an all or nothing phenomenon. Consequently, people don't need to completely satisfy one need in order for the next need in the hierarchy to emerge. Maslow suggests that at any given time, most people tend to have each of their needs partly met, and that needs lower on the hierarchy are typically the ones that people have made the most progress towards. Okay, so let's just nip back here to the hierarchy itself, and there we go. We can see it starts with physiological. A person drowning will want air. You know, people today, look at this virus, it's actually does drown people. And you know, the air is the most important thing to them. Unfortunately, there's many lost their life through lack of it. And at the moment, food is very, very important. Homeostasis, balancing all of the systems in the body so that we're a healthy human being is important. It's also got excretion, which is important if you're constipated, but it is important. We can laugh about it, but it is important. Ultimately, it can kill us if we don't go, sort of thing, right? And then security, looking at, you know, the body, looking at employment, looking at resources, morality, the family, health, and property. Property is really important. I know it took me a long time to get my own place because, as many of you know, I went through a period of messing up my life. But talking about coming in alignment, I bought this place where I am now, my lovely bungalow up in Wales, just 8 years ago. And because I looked at my resources and what did I want to do with my life and what was I capable of doing, I started a business. I started it actually before then, but it enabled me to pay for this bungalow, lock, stock and barrel, plus my car, which is an expensive car, plus get a considerable amount of savings, all within 8 years. I didn't own my own place till I was 52 years of age, and I'm now 60, and it's all paid off. My car's paid off. I owe nobody. I don't owe anybody anything nowadays. And I'm saying this not to gloat, because that's not who I am. I'm saying this to say, if you find yourself at rock bottom at the moment, you can achieve these things. If I can do it, anybody can do it. I was a rock bottom alcoholic. I had no home. I was physically in a terrible place. I am very, very close to death on many occasions. But today I'm thriving in life. And even at this point when the coronavirus is circulating, I was thinking before I went for a lovely walk on the promenade, I was noticing that people were abiding by this social distancing. It's a beautiful day. And I was thinking, you know, don't concentrate on what the coronavirus is stopping you doing. Concentrate on what it allows you to do. It's much better. I know for me, there's so many things. I could be locked up in this bungalow for a year and still not have enough time to do what I'd like to do. Be inventive. This is the time that you can really dig deep into find your attributes. Okay. So then we move up to friendship, family and sexual intimacy. Another very important thing. This is from the id. It's one of our primary needs, sexual intimacy. And if people don't get that also, it causes all sorts of problems. So these are important. And then as we satisfy these lower needs that you might say, then we look for self-esteem, getting respect off others. And then we look to self-actualize, morality, creativity, spontaneity, and so on. It's a really good model, this, and again, this has stood the test of time. It's quite simple, but this will give you an excellent idea of where you need to work with clients and where you need to work yourself. I don't think for 1 minute this is linear. In other words, we start here at the bottom and then we work our way up. I think we come round and we come back to it, and it's cyclic at times. But please do study this, have a listen to it. And also there is a video that I will put on the website after this, and it explains Maslow's extended hierarchy of needs, of which there's 7 or 8 levels. I'll put that video on the site shortly. So thank you, and I hope you're all coping very well at the moment. Thanks a lot.